Ever feel like you're drained of energy, that your life is on repeat? Worst case scenario, you're living in the matrix, that you have no idea what's happening around you, and you're just told to go work in your dull, boring, gray cubicle. Best case scenario, you're living the Truman Show's life, but still everything is just the same every day. And as as the saying goes, we're all trying to escape the rat race. But even if you manage to escape the rat race, you're still just a rat. So what has to change? And what's the secret to escaping the matrix and the Truman Show? Well, one of my rabbis, Rabbi Shabtai Rappaport, once shared this brilliant idea about renewal. And he said as follows, that the epitome of renewal was found at the temple, the Mikdash, where the priests would do the exact same jobs every single day of the year, again and again and again. So imagine yourself as one of those priests. You wake up early in the morning and you get to work. You enter the temple, you're wearing your priestly clothes, and everything's great. And then you ask yourself, didn't I just do this yesterday and the day before and the day before that? What's the point? There's no change. And he said, well, clearly the change is within. You have to show up differently. That's where the change occurs. You are performing the same acts and the same deeds every single day, but the change is within you. When you show up with a new outlook, with a new heart that you pour into what you do every single day, that's when things start to shift in the world. That's when your impact can create that tremendous ripple effect that can go on and on and on forever and turn into your personal legacy in the world, way past the time you are living physically in this world. And I think that that is what Rashi alludes to when he commentates on the Torah. The verse says, "The Lord your God commands you this day to observe these laws and rules. Observe them faithfully with all your heart and soul." So Rashi, the popular commentator on the Torah, on the Bible, he quotes our sages, the Medrash in Tanhuma. And he says, this suggests each day they, meaning God's commandments, should be to you as something new, not antiquated, and something of which you have become tired, as though you had received the commands that very day for the first time. So what Moshe is telling the Jewish people shortly before he dies, his legacy, what he's leaving for the Jewish people forever, is he's telling them, today, see these commandments that God is teaching you and telling you, have them new, see them as new, as if you had received them today for the first time. But how could you do this? How is this possible? How could one just decide to take upon themselves to see them as if they're new? You could fool yourself and make believe that you're seeing them as new, but clearly that doesn't really change anything about you and your actions, right? At least its impact will be limited. So perhaps the idea here is that we have to view our experiences as coming from inside outwards. Yes, there was a point in time in history when the Jewish people received the Torah at Mount Sinai. And every day since then was not that day. But if our experiences come from within us, then it makes no difference what's happening out there. We have the power to experience what we see however we wish. And that's why the temple was the epitome of renewal, where you had the work, your work as the priest was to show up differently, even though you were doing the same thing. What our sages and Rashi is telling us, that every day one must look at the Torah, look at the commandments as if he is receiving them that day, that moment, because that is possible for us to shed new light and show up differently with a new energy and be fully engaged anew into what God is speaking to us. Hopefully this lands well with you, and I'll speak to you soon.